Welcome back to another how-to video. This is one of my newer series where once a month I make a how-to video showing you guys how to navigate the hobby like a pro. I've even made a whole playlist with all my other how-to videos so you guys can check them out. So for today's video, recently my mom, my sister, and my niece all started collecting Pokemon. And you can kind of forget, once you've been in Pokemon for a long time, how overwhelming it is to start out in the hobby again. There are so many different types of cards, special illustration rares, alternate arts, trainer galleries, Galarian galleries. It's actually crazy. So that's what today's video is going to be about. I'm going to try to make the most in-depth video possible. So that way, when you guys are done watching this video, you guys are on the same level as everybody else who's been collecting for a very long time. So if you're just starting out, or maybe you used to collect back in the day and you're getting back into the hobby, or you've been in this hobby the whole time, this video is going to be for everybody. And we're going to go through all the different types of rarities, the best cards, what everybody likes to collect. And we're even going to go through all the best websites so you guys can check prices and, track your collection so you guys will know exactly what to do. And we are going to do a little giveaway today. All you have to do is make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, leave a like, and then you have to answer the question of the day. So for today's question of the day, which Gengar is better? Is it the Gengar VMAX from Fusion Strike, or is it the brand new Mega Gengar that just got revealed? So let me know down below to be entered into that giveaway. This is what we're doing. We got the 2 metal Arceus promo cards, got a Japanese Skarmory and a classic collection Ivysaur. And the winner from last Sunday's video is at Frax Battles. So to shoot me an email or hit me up on Instagram and I'll get those cards sent out to you. And speaking of apps that track your collection, today's video sponsor is Collectr, which we will be talking about today because these guys are actually the best of the best when it comes to tracking your collection, whether it be Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! They have over 25 different TCGs, and I have actually tried all the other apps. No other app even compares. They also do more giveaways than anyone in this hobby. They're always trying to add new boxes, cards, features. So let us know down below if there's anything you want them to work on. But yeah, definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. Then, of course, we got my brand new merch, the binder bound hoodie and t-shirt. These are available now for a limited time. And then also, if you're going to grade through PSA, click my link in the description. Use the code BEARD25 to receive $25 off your very first submission. All right, let's get into it. We're going to be hopping to pokecollector.com. You can just type in Pokemon card sets on Google and this will pop up. This is my favorite website that actually shows you guys all the different cards and sets in order. This does not have prices though. We will be checking those websites in a bit. So in today's video, we're going to mainly highlight the Mega Evolution, Scarlet and Violet era, and Sword and Shield era, because that's what most people collect. But like I said, after that, I'm going to show you guys the most popular cards throughout all the different eras quickly. So we're going to be starting off by looking at all the different types of cards and rarities, because there's just so many different versions now, especially in the Scarlet and Violet era. They did a big overhaul that it can definitely be a little bit more confusing, because back in the day, it literally just used to be a circle for a common, a diamond for uncommon, and then we have the star, which would be your non-holo rare, reverse, or holo rare. But now we have a lot more stuff. And this chart doesn't even have all of them for the Scarlet and Violet era technically. We're missing a couple more, which we will be going through here in a second. So we're going to run through all the different types of cards in the Scarlet and Violet era. So we have common, with the circle at the bottom, just like we've had forever. Then we have our uncommon, and then we have our rare with just a star here. And just know every single pack in the Scarlet and Violet era has 2 reverse holos and a holo. Pretty much all of them are not really worth anything because they're guaranteed in every pack. So moving on, we got our basic EX. As you can see, we got the 2 black stars down at the bottom. But my goal is by the time you're done with this video, you won't even need to check all the stars and rarities. You guys will just be able to know by looking at the card. And then we got another different type of EX. Now, some people think this card is super rare because there's a little texture around it. These sometimes can be worth more, like $1 or $2, but still very common. These are just basically terrestrial EXs. Still has the 2 black stars down at the bottom. Then we have our Ace Trainer cards. These are very good for like the TCG and playing. So it has a pink star down at the bottom. And then we have the full art. This is just the Latias EX here from Surging Sparks. And also the Scarlet and Violet era is the EX era. We have had an EX era before, which we will talk about here in a minute. And as you can see, this is technically a secret rare. So in the Scarlet and Violet era, they made a ton of cards secret rares. So when you hear secret rare, it's really not that special. Kind of depends on what type of card it is. So that's just a full art, has very nice texture. And as you can see, there's not a scene in the background. It's just colors and stuff like that. That's one way you can really tell how something is, a special illustration rare or an alternate art or something like that. It's just like colors in the background. It's a full art. And then we even have another type of full art. This one has a rainbow border And, you know, same type of rarity, the 2 stars down at the bottom. But again, it is technically just a full art. As you can see, there's no scene in the background. And this is our full art trainer, basically the same level as a full art EX Pokemon. You know, very nice texture. And it is a secret rare, as you can see, number 203 out of 191 with the 2 white stars. So if the number actually exceeds the set number, that means it is a secret rare. So if it was 192 out of 191, this would be technically a secret rare. See, the background isn't too crazy, not a ton going on, especially compared to this Jasmine's Gaze. So as you can see, it's a full scene in the background. So that's how you can really tell between a special illustration rare and just a regular trainer art. But the special illustration rare has the 2 gold stars at the bottom, when the regular trainer just has the 2 white stars. And now we're going to jump to illustration rares. Now, these next 2 things are what most people collect in the Scarlet and Violet era. I would say pretty much all of them. So if you're going to just collect certain things, these are definitely the 2 most popular. And that is the Latios illustration rare right here. As you can see, beautiful scene in the background. There is no texture. And this has the 1 gold star right here. And then we have the special illustration rare. So as you can see, you know, same type of card, beautiful art in the background. These cards actually connect, but this card has texture, unlike the illustration rare. It has the 2 gold stars down at the bottom, and it has the EX on top. So we're going to compare this to the full art so you guys can really see the difference. So this is the Latias EX special illustration rare, basically the best cards you can get in the set. And this is the full art. Now, they're both textured. They both have EX at the top. They both have 2 stars. This one just has white stars, and the special illustration rare has the gold stars and an actual scene in the background. And then we got our gold cards, which are not as popular as the new mega hyper rares from like Mega Evolution and stuff, because, you know, these are so much tougher to pull than those other gold cards. Even though the other gold cards are usually tougher to pull than special illustration rares, people just like the special illustration rares a lot more. But these gold cards are technically worth more than their special illustration rare counterparts. And now there's a few other type of cards in the Scarlet and Violet era, but these are not in every single set. So we have 3 different Fate sets. We have Paldean Fates, Shining Fates, and Hidden Fates. And these sets consist of baby shiny cards. You know, as you can see at the bottom, we have a different type of gold star. It's not solid gold. And we have those even in the card. So all of these are shiny versions of Pokemon. And these do have a little bit of texture. And these also come in full arts, which are shiny. These are not super, super tough to pull. But yeah, you can only get these cards in the Fate sets. But this rarity is only in the Scarlet and Violet era. They did a complete overhaul. The other sets, it'll say SV, which is for the shiny vault. And then we have another new type of card that they added in the Scarlet and Violet era. And that is Pokeballs and Master Balls, which started with Prismatic Evolutions, where you can actually get a reverse Pokeball and a reverse Master Ball of like all the regular cards, you know, not the full arts, the EXs and stuff like that, which is giving a good spotlight to a lot of these more basic cards, which most people don't collect nowadays. Now, the Pokeballs are all very cheap, all pretty much under $1, but the Master Balls can be pretty expensive. I think Umbreon is the most expensive at like 60, 70 bucks. And we also got new ones in the black and white sets, and they look a little bit different, but still the same concept. And then we have one more type of rarity that came out in the Scarlet and Violet era, and that is with Black Bolt and White Flare, and that is the BWR rare cards. It has the 1 black star and 1 white star. It just means black and white rare. These are complete full arts, and they are solid color, and they are very tough to pull. Also, kind of similar to the Mega Gold cards, but not as tough to pull. But as you can see, we got the white Reshiram, the black Zekrom, and then we even have a red Victini, and there's 2 different versions. So remember, there's a white flare one and a black bolt. They look the exact same, but the number is technically different, and one is worth a little bit more. Now, these are throwbacks to some of the original black cards and white cards, which we will check in a bit, when full art started for the very first time. So I kind of like when they do that. So yeah, that's basically all the different rarities for the Scarlet and Violet era. And then we also have promos. Now, when it comes to promos, you can tell what it is because it has the Black Star promo down at the bottom. So this is basically the most popular one right now. That is the Pikachu with gray felt hat. And you can see it has a star at the bottom and it says promo on it. And then it'll say like SV or Sword and Shield or whatever it is, depending on the era. They also added another new thing in the Scarlet and Violet era where they did promos in all of our ETBs that normally only would come in like specialty sets like Hidden Fates. But now you get a promo in every ETB, and there's 2 different versions and they look the exact same. The only difference is one has a Pokemon Center stamp and one does not. And the price difference is crazy. Like Charmander's $204 for the Pokemon Center stamp one, but the regular Charmander is like $20-$30. Now, the reason it's so expensive is you can only get the Pokemon Center ETB from the Pokemon Center website, unlike a regular ETB, which you can get from every game store in the world, every Walmart, Target, also Pokemon Center website. So the Pokemon Center stamp promos are very rare and probably one of the more exclusive cards that we actually get in the hobby. But yeah, when it comes to promos, they can come in any different type of card, illustration rare, special illustration rare, basic holos. You know, you just really got to look at the star down at the bottom. And like I said, it'll say SVP or Sword and Shield or whatever it is. All right, now we are hopping to the Sword and Shield era. So we're going to be starting off from the beginning. So we have our basic V Pikachu. And then we got our amazing rares. This was only in 2 different sets. They don't make these anymore. And these are very affordable. Rayquaza is the most expensive at like $15 maybe. But you can tell they got an A at the bottom. It's all colorful. These are very cool cards. Next, they came out with Radiant cards. As you can see, this is a shiny Greninja. So when you see Radiant in the Sword and Shield era, you know, it's a shiny Pokemon. And you can also see we have yellow borders. And pretty much all the other eras besides the Scarlet and Violet era, the symbols are actually very easy. It's basically just the circle for the common, the diamond for the uncommon, and the star for the rare. But as you can see, we got a star for the Radiant Greninja down here. And we have a star for the Full Art Pikachu V. This card does have texture. And then we got the VMAX, also has a star. But yeah, all the cards we've looked at so far for the Sword and Shield era, these are all very common, you know, pretty cheap cards. Some of the Full Art Vs can be kind of expensive, but I mean, this Pikachu's like $15. Then we got our trainers. The Scarlet and Violet era definitely has much better trainers, like art-wise. It's not even close. And then we got our Rainbow Rares. So these were the big boys before we got alternate arts. So these are very tough to pull. And Rainbows were pretty popular for a long time. But once we got alternate arts and people kind of jumped on that train, a lot of people now do not like Rainbow Rares. But this card still, you know, it's a $120 card. Big Pikachu VMAX. And then we got our gold cards, back when they used to give us shiny gold cards. And these cards are also very affordable. You know, this is a $3 card. But then, after that, you know, we're down here, where we got Vivid Voltage, and then we got a set called Battle Styles, and that introduced alternate arts. So, we got the Umbreon V, this is from Evolving Skies, so we got 2 different types of alternate arts, the V and VMAX. So the Vs are technically not secret rares, but still, very, very expensive, basically some of the most popular cards in the world. And as you can see, beautiful art in the background, crazy texture, it's got the V. But, you know, if you compare it to like the V full art, like I was talking about, you know, this just has like lightning in the background with a color. So that's how you can really just tell by the scene in the background. If it has a beautiful scene in the background, just know it's one of the more popular cards that people are collecting, because that's what people like to collect now, is the ones with the beautiful art and not just a Pokemon just standing there. And then we have our VMAX. So these are secret rares. Every VMAX alternate art is a secret rare. And these are basically the most popular cards in all of Pokemon history. This is the most expensive modern card besides a tag team card. And the Umbreon EX Special Illustration Rare from Prismatic Evolutions is also close to this card. So yeah, right there, the V and VMAX. Again, beautiful scene in the background, crazy colors. So that's the king of the Sword and Shield era. And then we got Brilliant Stars came out, and we got V-Star cards. A lot of people didn't really love these. You know, we got more of our basic V-Star, and then we even have a Rainbow V-Star, same art. You know, this is a $50 card. Again, once we really got those alternate arts, people really did not care about these Rainbow cards at all. And then we even got more stuff. We got Trainer Gallery cards. So back when we had like Evolving Skies, Chilling Rain, you would just get a handful of alternate arts. They were extremely tough to pull, and that's all you would really get for like that really beautiful art. But we introduced Trainer Gallery cards, where we got really beautiful art, and the pull rates were much easier. We got less alternate arts. You know, like Evolving Skies has 16 alternate arts. They're all crazy hard to pull. But then they toned it down to where like Lost Origin is like 4 alternate arts, but a ton of Trainer Gallery cards. So the pack opening experience is so much better. So we're going to look at all the trainer gallery cards, and you can tell these by the bottom. So this is called a subset, where you have a little set inside of a big set. So it says TG at the bottom, trainer gallery. So there's non-textured ones. And as you can see, beautiful art. You know, it's got the yellow border because we're in the Sword and Shield era, and all the non-textured cards have the yellow border. And then we jump to the Pikachu V trainer gallery card. It says at the bottom, TG. This card does have texture and has the black border. Beautiful scene in the background. And the VMAX. So basically the same thing as the alternate art V and VMAX, except these cards are a lot easier to pull, so they're not as expensive. So this is the Pikachu VMAX trainer gallery card. And they even have the gold trainer gallery cards. These cards are very easy to pull. All are very affordable. And then they even have trainer gallery trainer cards, which has much better art in the background than what we were getting earlier in the Sword and Shield era with just the basic full art trainers. And then Sword and Shield did something crazy, which in my opinion is still probably the best set we've ever gotten. And they came out with Crown Zenith. And Crown Zenith has a Galarian gallery. And you can tell the Galarian gallery by down at the bottom, it says GG for Galarian gallery. They have non-textured cards, beautiful art. I mean, look at that Lapras. And then we got our V Galarian gallery cards. These cards have texture. This Suicune is basically my favorite modern card ever created. It's absolutely perfect. Also says GG down at the bottom. And then we got the Leafeon V-Star. We got V-Star Galarian gallery cards. And we even got VMAX Galarian gallery cards. And then we did even get the Trainer Galarian gallery cards. I mean, just look at that art in the background. Basically a special illustration rare from the Scarlet and Violet era, but this is the Sword and Shield era. And then we did get gold V-Star cards, and these are the most expensive cards, basically in Crown Zenith besides the Mewtwo V-Star. So that's pretty much all the Sword and Shield put in there. And then we got our promos, of course. Again, you know, we got our Black Star promo, and it says Sword and Shield with a number. So that number, you know, this is promo Sword and Shield number 296, 177, you know, stuff like that. And again, these come in all different types of cards. We got VMAX promos, Vs, gold cards, regular holos. And then we also get an anniversary set every 5 years. This is the Celebrations, the 25th anniversary. We also had Generations for the 20th anniversary. And we also have the 30th anniversary coming very, very soon. So definitely keep your eyes out for that. It's going to be crazy because when we got Celebrations, this was before like alternate arts and special illustration rares was really a thing. So I'm very excited to see what they do for the 30th. I think it's going to be insane. And this set has a lot of reprints from a lot of vintage cards. So, you know, you can look at the Charizard right here. That's the base set Charizard, but it's got the 25th anniversary stamp on it. So you can tell that it is the Celebrations Charizard, same with Venusaur Blastoise. So they do that a decent amount. And then they even have staff cards. If you guys did not know anything about these, it's where it literally has the word staff. Try to find one where you can see it. Right here on the card. Right below Gyarados' mouth. Right here on the bottom left, the Lugia. Now these are cards to where the staff actually gets them. And these are very, very limited cards. So they are also pretty expensive. Now most of the time, a lot of these just come in just your basic holo and stuff like this. You know, Sun and Moon. Like we can probably go to the newest ones and they're just going to be your basic like holo Alakazam staff from Mega Evolution, market price $149. So these are also very expensive. And then we have prize pack series cards. So these are cards that you get when you actually go play the TCG in person and you get little prize pack packs. And yeah, some of these are worth a ton. I mean, the Charizard VMAX, $895. And you can tell these by the actual little logo here. That's the prize pack series logo. Very easy to spot. And then we have another big reprint. This is from the Trading Card Game Classic. Like I said, they reprint stuff a decent amount. Now, for this at the bottom, you can see it says CLC, Classic Collection. And you can also remember to check dates. Like if you think you have the base set Charizard, but you look at the bottom and it says 2023, that's not the base set Charizard, you know. But yeah, they reprinted a ton of vintage cards for this big box. So, like I said, they do that a decent amount. They also have the Battle Academy cards, which is a board game, and it comes with cards, and they have these little symbols down here, like a little red Charizard and stuff. That's how you can tell it's the Battle Academy cards. Very, very affordable cards. And then they even have the holiday calendar cards. It has a little snowflake on there. That's kind of for Christmas. Very cheap cards. They got the Trick or Trade Halloween cards. It has a little pumpkin Pikachu face on there. That's how you can tell those. And then we have the McDonald's cards. You know, you can tell these usually by the bottom. You know, it says M23. You know, they're usually out of like 15 or 20 or whatever it is. But yeah, they have a decent amount of those little McDonald's sets. Most of them are all very cheap. All right, so that was it for the Sword and Shield and the Scarlet and Violet era. Now we're going to be checking the best cards from all the different eras because each different generation is kind of defined by an era. So like the Scarlet and Violet era, this is the Generation 9 EX Special Illustration Rare and Illustration Rare era. Next, we get the Sword and Shield. This is the Generation 8 V and VMAX Alternate Art era. And then, you know, Sun and Moon. This is the Generation 7 GX Tag Team Alternate Art era, all the way down to base set. But we're going to run through the most popular cards from each era really quickly, just so you guys can see what everybody is collecting. So we're going to check out Team Up, the most popular Sun and Moon set. So there's 4 different tag team cards. So this is the non-textured tag team alternate art card, you know, Celebi and Venusaur GX. Not a secret rare, just a single star. Very, very cool card for sure. And then we have a full art tag team, and then we have a rainbow tag team. So for the full arts here, we got another Celebi and Venusaur, beautiful texture. Again, these are not as popular as the alternate arts, of course, but still very cool. And then we have the rainbow tag teams. Again, same exact art as that full art, the Celebi and Venusaur GX tag team. And this is a secret rare, number 182 out of 181. But now for the big boy, the actual GX tag team alternate art. Now, these cards are very tough to pull, all very expensive, and they have absolutely beautiful texture. So here is basically the most popular tag team card, the Latias and Latios. So for Generation 7, you know, this is like Generations 9 Umbreon EX, or, you know, Generation 8, the Sword and Shield era for their Umbreon VMAX. You know, each era kind of has that one crazy card that just destroys all the rest, and this is the Sun and Moon era's card. So as you can see, beautiful art, you know, in the background actually makes a heart. And then here's the full art, so you guys can really see the difference. See just a plain color in the background compared to the tag team alt art. So these are definitely the most popular cards in the Sun and Moon era. And now we are going to hop to the X and Y era. So these are some of my all-time favorite cards right here. And that is the secret rare gold cards from the X and Y era. Look at that. We've got Gardevoir, Yveltal in the background. This is number 116 out of 114, which is the 1 star, but has the very nice gold border, crazy texture also. I mean, these cards, in my opinion, are still slept on. This is like a $65 card. And here's another one too from the set. And Steam Siege is known as one of the worst sets in Pokemon history and has these 2 beautiful cards in it. Got the Volcanion there with the Xerneas in the background. And then the X and Y era is also known as the Mega era. As you can see here, it's got the Japanese word on there. If you go and buy the Japanese version of this card, it will have the English word on there, which is pretty cool. You know, kind of some crazy looking cards. I do like our new Mega cards much better from the new Mega era, but they even have a really, really nice full art here from Phantom Forces, which is basically one of the best cards from the X and Y era. This is the Silver Dialga, and this is D Pocket Monster's favorite card. He has a ton of these in a PSA 10, and it is very expensive. And then here's another one of the Mega cards here. And there is another version of this Mega Gengar that looks identical, but this is the secret rare. As you can see, 121 out of 119. The other one is not a secret rare. And the Japanese word is not in gold in the other version. All right, that is about it for the X and Y era. We are now going to move to the Black and White era. And this is when we really got our full arts, like our first ever full arts. As you can see here, we got the White Reshiram and the Black Zekrom, and these are exactly what our cards are based off of in the new Black and White sets. So these are extremely popular. We also got some super cool gold cards that we haven't really gotten since. And we also got some super cool full art cards that I wish they would bring back in the Plasma era here. So we got blue Plasma full arts. As you can see here, this Articuno, that's where the whole border is blue. You can see the Plasma in the actual background. These are very popular, you know, compared to a regular full art here. And then here's the Lugia, that's the big boy. Then the gold cards. Very cool. We got the Charizard secret rare gold card from Plasma Storm. And then we got the Blastoise gold card. As you can see, a little different. These are shiny gold cards, which I'm a big fan of. That's why Charizard is, black. So that's pretty much it for the black and white series. Now we're going to jump down to Call of Legends. This is just a single set here, but they got SL cards, which is basically just shiny Pokemon. But then we're going to jump to the Heart Gold, Soul Silver era. And this is one of my favorite eras. Very small. As you can see, there's 5 sets. The art is crazy. And we got these legend cards where you literally get 2 cards to make one complete picture. Some of my all-time favorite cards. And they even got these Elf lithograph cards, which, they're the secret rare cards. And these things are super, super cool because everything is written in unknown. They also have prime cards, which are pretty popular. And you can tell these because they're very close up. They have these really cool borders with all the spikes and stuff. But it's just a close-up of their face. People did not really care for these when they came out. They're getting kind of popular now, but still very affordable. You can get a lot of these for $20 to $80. A couple of the big ones are expensive, like Umbreon. So those are called Prime cards. So when you think of Heart Gold, Soul Silver era, you think of Prime and you think of Legend cards. All right, next, we have Platinum. Platinum, probably one of my least favorite eras in the TCG, to be honest. I really feel like it didn't bring a ton of new stuff to the table, and it was so small. This is Platinum Arceus here. They got these shiny cards, which it literally just says SH at the bottom, and they're of not the most popular Pokemon, but I think they're a pretty cool Pokemon that doesn't get a lot of love, which I'm a big fan of. We got these Shinx here, shiny. It literally says SH down at the bottom. There's not a ton of these. I think there's 12 of them, and they're actually really tough to find clean because of the reverse holo. So they're very expensive in a 10. But to be honest, that's my highlight of the Platinum series. They didn't bring a ton of new stuff to the table, like I said. They do have level X cards, but we had level X cards before. So, nothing that crazy. But we had level X cards for a long time. These do look very nice in person. And I actually do have every single level X card. Yeah, the level X cards we also got in Diamond and Pearl. That was their big thing, was the level X cards. So we'll go down to the bottom, check out a couple more of those. And don't forget too, if you are collecting all the level X cards, there is promos. But yeah, one of the main reasons why I decided to make this video is I want to show you guys, the best way to collect to save your money. Because, if you like a certain type of card, just go collect that certain card. Don't go do complete master sets. If you only like the level X cards, just collect the level X cards. You don't need to do the whole master set too. You'll just have the cards that you like, and you're going to save so much money. Next, we have the EX Ruby and Sapphire era. This is when it gets absolutely crazy. So we'll start off at the bottom with like EX Ruby and Sapphire base. So nothing super crazy. We got our EXs. Yes, we have had 3 different types of EXs. We got the lowercase EX, we got the big EX, and now we have our EXs for the Scarlet and Violet era. But these cards, again, very beautiful. You got the E-reader down at the bottom. But what's cool about this era is they got some insane cards. So we got to check out EX Team Rocket Returns, one of my all-time favorite sets, which actually has dark Pokemon in there. But they have Gold Star cards. Now, when you're thinking of Pokemon and you're thinking of the best cards ever in Pokemon history, there's a few that come to mind. So if we're not talking modern, the grails of vintage Pokemon are Gold Star cards, Crystal cards, and Shining cards. Those are the 3 big vintage grails that everybody chases. And then, of course, our first edition holos and stuff like that, and even legendary collection and stuff. But for like a gimmick, these are the 3 big ones. And these are just shinies. They have a Gold Star up at the top, right by the name, and these are ridiculously expensive. This is just a Mudkip, and this card is thousands of dollars. I mean, this Torchic right here, it says $25,000 on TCG Player. So these are some of the all-time grails that everybody loves. And, a lot of people collect these for vintage. And there's a lot of Gold Stars, actually. There's, not like Crystal cards where there's just a handful. But EX Team Rocket Returns also have some of my favorite EX cards, very unique looking with all the black and stuff like that. Yeah, EX Team Rocket Returns is the very first set with Gold Star cards, and, there's a bunch of them. They're crazy expensive. Like we got the Gold Star Mew, Charizard. They sprinkle a couple of them in each of these sets towards the end of the EX Ruby and Sapphire. They're very tough to pull. And like I said, grails. And then we have the E series, which is literally just Skyridge, Aquapolis, Expedition. Skyridge is one of the greatest sets we've ever gotten art-wise. Like every card is insane. Like the art is just nuts. But these sets have crystal cards. They also have holos that are very expensive. They don't even have the pictures for them for some reason. But here are the crystal cards right here. We got the Celebi, Charizard, Crobat, Golem, Ho-Oh, Kabutops. Yeah, just check out like this crystal Celebi. I mean, you can just tell. And be careful, these do come in reverse holo and holo. The reverse holo is worth way less. But yeah, you can tell by just the bottom, how all the colors, it almost looks like a crystal when you look at the card. And these are secret rares, so remember that. And you can always tell Skyridge by this set. You should always remember the Skyridge set symbol. It looks like a mountain with like a ring around the top of it. That's a set symbol you gotta know, because even the commons for this set are so expensive. Like, it's kind of crazy. So yeah, crystal cards and then holos for the E-card series. Even the holos are very expensive because we're dealing with such old cards. And then we have Legendary Collection. This is where we got these super cool reverse holos. These are the first reverse holos we've ever gotten. They're also called the Fireworks reverse holo. And you can get every single card from this set in this, and you get one of these per pack. So to master set, this is actually really crazy. This is one of my favorite cards. This picture does not do justice. I mean, the cards are insane. And then we have the Neo era. This is where we got our Shining cards. You know, beautiful holos also. This set comes in unlimited and first edition. But we got these Shining cards here. We got the Shining Magikarp and the Shining Gyarados. And these also come in unlimited and first edition. And the first editions are very expensive. Even the unlimited, you know, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars per card. But yeah, there's not a ton of Shinings. Destiny has the most with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in one set, which is crazy. And as you can see, these have the first edition symbol right here. That's on the left. So only the first 2 generations are going to have the first edition symbol where you can get a card unlimited and first edition. Once we got into the e-readers and stuff, they completely stopped with the first editions. And again, this could be a major price difference between a first edition and unlimited. So like this Shiny Noctowl, this is an unlimited. You know, this Shining Raichu, this is a first edition. So you guys can kind of see. And again, this has a new rarity down at the bottom. There's 3 little stars. And these are also all secret rares. But again, Neo era did not have a ton of sets. That's why it was much easier to do master sets back in the day, because this whole era was just, you know, 4 or 5 sets. And they even got this Southern Islands, which is kind of just like a little promo set. Very, very cool. Beautiful reverse holos also. Super fun to complete, even to this day. Only Mew is the only one that's like really expensive. Then there is Topps cards. Now be careful with Topps cards. There's a ton of different versions. They come in like base, you know, silver, techno, chrome, and some of these get very, very expensive. Yeah, I might do a whole series on these Topps cards because there are so many different versions. It's actually kind of crazy. And it takes a while to really figure out which one is which. And then we have the Gym Hero series, which also comes in unlimited and first edition. And this is where we got, you know, like Blaine's Charizard and stuff like that. You know, Brock's Ninetales. So we kind of brought some of that back with like Journey Together. Like I said, Pokemon loves to recycle stuff like this. Now, the last on the list is going to be base set series. That's where we got our original base set, Jungle, Fossil, base set 2, Team Rocket. Again, you know, these all come in unlimited and first edition, except base set does have a shadowless version also. So there's 3 different kinds. Well, technically there is a 4th print, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So this is the unlimited. You can tell by looking right here on the right side how there is a shadow. The shadowless, there will be no shadow there. Also at the bottom, it'll say 1999 2 times for the shadowless. And then of course the first edition is going to have the stamp with also no shadow. Yeah, I'll throw up all 3 versions here so you guys can see the unlimited, the shadowless, and the first edition shadowless. I'll even throw up the base set too, which we're going to talk about here in a second, so you guys can see all the different versions, so you guys know what you're collecting. And it's very important to know because even a common or uncommon first edition shadowless card is worth a decent amount of money. Like if they're all near mint, I'm talking, you know, $15, $20 for just a single common card. So you always got to keep your eye out for that. But we definitely have to check one of the most popular sets from base set, and that is Team Rocket. This is the first time we got the dark cards. We got Dark Alakazam, Dark Blastoise, Charizard, Dark Dragonite, Dark Gyarados. Very, very cool set. And this is the first set for English that we got the secret rare, which is the Dark Raichu number 83 out of 82. So kind of a special set, and a lot of people, this is their favorite vintage set because of all the dark Pokemon. That's why a lot of people were a little disappointed with Destined Rivals that we did not get dark Pokemon again, because, you know, so many people wanted that. And then they do have base set 2, which is basically kind of a mashup reprint of Jungle, Fossil, and base set. But as you can see here, you know, we got our base set 2 symbol. So every card will have that. So this one's very easy to spot. And of course, base set 2 is even worth less than Unlimited and, you know, first edition, because it's the reprint set. So a lot of people did not like base set 2 when it came out, because it was basically just all reprints of the cards that we've just had for the last couple of years. And I know that was a ton of info, so we're going to do a quick little recap of literally just the most popular Pokemon cards that I would say 98% of everyone in the hobby collects, just so you guys know what everybody's collecting. So we got our new Mega Gold cards. These are very popular right now and expensive. And then we got these new BW rares. I'm only putting these in there because they're pretty expensive for modern, basically some of the most expensive modern cards we have right now. I would say people still like SIRs more though. And then we have our special illustration rares from the Scarlet and Violet era. This is what pretty much every single person collects. And then our illustration rares, not as rare, but still everybody collects these from the Scarlet and Violet era. And then our V and VMAX Alternators from the Sword and Shield era. You know, very beautiful cards for sure. And here's the VMAX. Remember, always a secret rare. The V is not a secret rare. And then the Sun and Moon, we got the tag teams. And then we're going to jump all the way to the big Grail vintage cards, because I feel like not that many people collect a lot of those mid-era sets, like the Mega cards and, you know, like Prime cards and Legend cards. Those are a little more niche. So we have the Gold Star cards. So crazy stuff from the EX Ruby and Sapphire series, and the Crystal cards from the E-Card series. And then we got our Shining cards from the Neo series. Remember, these come in first edition and Unlimited. And then, of course, our first edition Shadowless base set cards. And I even threw in a couple bonuses. This is the Japanese card. So these are basically the most popular Japanese cards that everybody collects. These are called the Munch Scream promo cards. Very expensive. I mean, this Psyduck just sold for $730 raw. So these are very, very popular on the Japanese side because we did not get them in English. And then, of course, our Poncho Pikachus. Very expensive. This PSA 10 just sold for 10 grand. So if you guys do want to collect anything Japanese, the Poncho Pikachus and the Scream Munches are the most popular. And they do even have half arts of these Poncho cards, which are much more affordable. Still very expensive. I mean, the Umbreon sold for $600. All right, now we're going to jump to all of the websites and apps that everybody in this hobby uses. And I'm going to show you guys how to use everything so you guys know what you're doing. So we're starting off with TCG Player. So this is a marketplace, and this is basically the main marketplace where everybody buys all their modern cards. So this is going to be your best website to actually check modern prices, because no other website or app can keep up with them, because this is straight from the source. It's basically just TCG Player and eBay where everybody buys their cards. But you can literally click Pokemon right here at the top. You can do Shop All English, Shop All Japanese. It shows a bunch of like the last sets that came out. But you can click Shop All English. And then you got all these boxes right here. You can do condition. You can do set. Type in whatever set you want. You can even scroll through. So we're going to pick Paradox Rift. You know, you can click Paradox Rift. As you can see, there's boxes and cards. You can go over to filters, and you can literally just go click cards only. Where'd it go? Right there. Cards or sealed products. So you can do cards. So that way it filters all the cards. You can do price high to low or low to high. You can even go to rarity and type in, you know, illustration rare, special illustration rare, whatever it is. And every card will pop up. I am going to do a standalone video on all these websites to show you guys how to use everything like exactly, but we're just going to kind of run through them real quick, because I know TCG Player can be a little overwhelming. And another reason why too, TCG Player is not really used for a lot of older cards is because a lot of people don't put pictures of the cards for sale, but you can click on a card, shows you the whole graph all the way up to a year. You can come down here, click view more data, shows you all the recently sold, and you can even come down here and buy it. But as you can see, none of these have pictures. So for modern, it's not that big of a deal because most modern cards are clean because most people just pull them. But when we're talking mid-era or vintage, that's when someone's near mint could be lightly played or moderately played. But yeah, pretty much everybody uses TCG Player. And then of course we got our eBay. You know, you can type in whatever card, and you can always go up here and click advanced options, and you could go down to sold items and hit search. And you can actually see what everything sold for. You know, we got an Umbreon VMAX here in a 10 sold for $3,500, you know, $3,250. And if there's ever a sale that says, like right here, $3,300 best offer accepted with a line through it, so you don't really know what it's sold for, that's where you can use the 130-point website. Go down to the bottom here and type in, you know, Umbreon VMAX PSA 10, hit submit, and it'll show you what it actually sells for on eBay. So this is a very good site to use. And then one of my favorite websites is PokeData. So it's very similar to the Poke Collector site where it has all the different sets, but we actually got prices in here. And this gets the prices from eBay and TCG Player, so sometimes it can definitely be a little bit behind. But what's cool about this compared to TCG Player, this shows everything. So Team Rocket's Mewtwo right here. You know, it doesn't just do raw prices like TCG Player. PokeData can show you everything. So it's got PSA 10 sales, PSA 9, even as raw and TCG Player because it gets info from a bunch of different things. And if you join the Pro membership, you can actually look at like the all-time sales of cards, which I mean for the Mewtwo doesn't matter, but for some of the older cards, it's kind of cool. You can even go down here, it shows you all the different sales, PSA 9, raw, stuff like that. So I really like PokeData. But if you cannot find any recent PSA 10 sales or they're really old on PokeData, then you can use price charting or alt. Both of these are pretty good. I think price charting has more PSA 10 sales, especially of like the random cards. I feel like alt is a little more up to date on like if a sale happens, it's on alt the next day. But for a lot of these vintage cards or mid-era cards, we do not have sales every day. So I prefer price charting. So that's where you can find, you know, your recent PSA 10 sales. Just got to type in the card. And if you just type in like Umbreon, it'll show all the different cards too. And last on the list, which was our sponsor of the video, and that is Collectr. Even if they weren't the sponsor of this video, I would still say this is the best app. It's not even close. So especially if you're starting out, it helps a ton to, you know, enter all your Pokemon cards or your sealed products so you know exactly how much you have and how much you're spending, because that's a big thing too in Pokemon. Like if you go spend $1,000 on sealed products and you enter all your cards and you pulled $120 worth of cards, that's when you can really start seeing, you know, how expensive this hobby can be and how opening packs is not your best option. And buying singles, the exact cards you want, is definitely your best option, which is why I always say, you know, figure out your favorite Pokemon, check all the different sets, because I've seen it so many times, and it's even happened to myself, to where I was so, you know, hard set on a goal and on a collection, and a year or two down the road, I just did not really care about that collection anymore because things change. I learned about new stuff. So it always helps to just learn all the info you can and then start your collection. And also for the newer people that are watching this video, if you guys did not know, I have a weekly series called What If Wednesday, where you guys can ask whatever question you want down below. And then in the next week or two, I actually answer that question in the video. So if you guys have any other questions or anything else that I missed, definitely check out those What If Wednesdays. And the reason I even started those videos was before I had a channel, you know, you would ask a big PokeTuber a question and you pretty much never got the answer. You never heard back from them. So I just wanted to have an area or a space where anybody can ask whatever question they want. They don't have to feel stupid. They're not going to get made fun of. And I will always answer that question. But all right, that was today's video. If you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment, and definitely send this video to anybody who is new in the hobby so that way they can get caught up really quickly. And then if you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my new merch, my PSA link, my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership is only 99 cents a month. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day, and you guys have to watch my last Saturday vending video. It's not really getting a ton of views, so I'd really appreciate if you guys could check that out. It was a super good video. I kept giving a girl a bunch of free cards. My whole family came in. It was a ton of fun. So click that video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.